So while students are banking on help to pay off some of their debt, there are a lot of Idahoans out there asking, what about us? What about help to pay our bills, like, rent, to keep a roof over our head? That help is out there. Rental assistance nonprofit Jesse Tree says they are helping with nearly 40 eviction prevention cases a week, which is about twice as many as they normally would during normal times. And one would think if they're getting the help, well, then the renters' worries are over, right? Not exactly. Landlords don't have to accept rent money from a third party, and some of them aren't. Here's Andrew Bartline.
The month of August has been one punch after another.
Divorce is very expensive, especially after 20 years of a divorce. So,
Danette Brookshire is a mother of 3 kids.
It's very difficult. Got to take care of your kids and yourself. So.
It's even harder once she took the latest punch.
And then I lost my job, so yeah.
Anticipating the next, Danette has to come up with $565 a month to pay lot rent, where she parks the family trailer.
I'm scared I'm going to get evicted, and I'm just waiting for that, on my door.
Danette called St. Vincent de Paul for their rental assistance program. To qualify, applicants typically need a job.
The lady she was amazing. Her name is Catherine, and she went to bat for me. She didn't have to do that, and she's like, okay, well, I got them to pay the rent.
A stroke of luck only lasted so long because the payment didn't come from Danette. It came from St. Vincent de Paul, leading her landlord to land another punch.
The landlord actually called St. Vincent's and was like, well, I consulted with my lawyers and they said we can't take third-party checks, which is ridiculous to me. I literally it doesn't make any sense to me. I have someone here willing to pay my rent and you won't take the payment. I really don't understand it.
Rental assistance nonprofit Jesse Tree says they've seen this before.
Right.
Executive Director Ali Rabe even says it's legal.
Unless the lease agreement says differently, usually the tenant is required to pay the rent, and landlords are not necessarily legally obligated to take money from somebody else.
Rabe says most landlords are willing to work with tenants who need help, but not all.
They don't think the tenant's going to be able to pay rent moving forward, and they just want to get a new tenant.
Numbers from Jesse Tree suggest this is a misconception. More than 90% of people who get eviction prevention assistance from Jesse Tree stay housed and do not return for further help.
Most of the time, it's a one-time, temporary financial crisis that people are experiencing, and they just need that one-time help.
But denying this help only hurts Danette further.
I have someone who's willing to pay rent and you won't accept the payment. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
And while she's got multiple job interviews lined up this week, there's no guarantee that solves the problem.
That's still going to take me 2 weeks to get a paycheck, and is that going to cover what I'm behind? And then here comes rent again on the 5th in a couple weeks. So it's very stressful.
Rabe says there are some emergency rental assistance programs available that pay the landlord directly, or pay the tenant directly, I should say. So then when the tenant pays the landlord, that money comes directly from them, not the assisting agency, but most assistance will be paid to the landlord from the agency. And Jesse Tree has run into this themselves as well, Brian. They say they put down a deposit for people to quite literally get their foot in the door to get that unit. And then the landlord sees that money's coming from Jesse Tree. They say, I don't want this tenant. And then they have to find a new unit for that person, and I can
see why an assistance program isn't just going to give you some cash and then maybe you use it to pay rent.
Who knows what you buy with it?
Right, exactly. So they want to pay that directly to the landlord. But when it comes to the landlord's perspective, isn't cash? Doesn't matter where it comes from?
Well, I mean, the argument would be they don't want a tenant that needs this assistance. Maybe this isn't a reliable tenant.
Okay.
I got 10 months left on this lease. You already need help now. I'm not confident that you're going to make it through 10 months. But as Jesse Tree said, the numbers show more than 90% of people that go to them for one-time help don't come back again. They get that help and they're good going forward.
And what about the lease? Didn't the lease say cash is cash?
It says party A pays party B. If that money comes from party C, according to Ali, she says she's not positive this has quite been litigated in Idaho.
Okay.
They don't legally have to take that money.
Interesting. All right, yeah, just one more punch, as you put it, to hit those renters right in the gut. All right, thank you very much, Andrew.